City of Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. My name is Damilola Ogunshaki, and I've started with Vanguard on the paper review. Vanguard leading story says Electoral Act, Senate passes bill, rejects mandatory electronic transmission of results, reduces election notice from 360 to 180 days. Labour Party PDP George Okore slams Senate over result transmission. Retained old law didn't reject electronic transmission that's coming from Akpabio. INEC vows to sanitize voters register, says dead men don't vote. Declares readiness for February 21 Abuja Council, Rivers, Kano by-elections. You can see that story on page 7 of Vanguard newspaper. On page 51, jihadists execute 162 in Kwara massacre. That's coming from Red Cross. As gunmen kill policeman, 16 others in Benue. Christian genocide. United States Congress urges stricter action on global religious freedom. Lastly, on Vanguard newspaper, banks divert credit to service sector. You can see that on page 19. Away from that, we move to the Punch. The Punch major headline says Kwara massacre. Federal government faces ease as 100 fear dead, 70 victims buried in mass grave. Tinubu deploys troop. Governor Saraki mourn. Survivors recount ordeal. You can see that on page 2. Daisy Anichaya, United Kingdom contractor details luxury property on paid bills. Lastly, on the Punch newspaper, delayed Electoral Act amendment could disrupt 2027 poll timetable. That's coming from INEC, and you can see that on page 2 now. The Guardian's major story says, lastly, the nation's major headline says, Senate rules how to retime result transfer. You can see that on page 2. INEC to claim no voter register before 2027 polls. World Bank funded $500 million meters to be given out free, says BPE. You can see that on page 7. And lastly, on the nation, 78 buried in Kwara community after terror attack. President deploys troops. You can see that on news page 42 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all on the front pages of the dailies. Join us after the break for a brief analysis of some of these stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today to Do on Rugged Life. My name is Damilola Ogunshaki, and let's talk about the Electoral Act. After pressure from the media and other stakeholders, the Senate yesterday passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill but rejected electronic transmission of results, an item that some stakeholders consider critical for free and fair elections in 2027. The Senate passed the Electoral Act 2022 Repeal and Reenactment Amendment Bill 2026 after the third reading. It rejected a proposed amendment to Clause 60, subsection 3 of the bill, which sought to make the electronic transmission of election results mandatory. But Senate President Godswill Akpabio said in a swift reaction that the Senate retained transmission of results as provided in the 2022 Act. The rejected provision would have required presiding officers of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to electronically transmit results from each polling unit to the IRF portal in real time. After this prescribed Form EC8A had been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and countersigned by candidate agent. Instead, the Senate adopted the existing provision of the Electoral Act, which states that the presiding officer shall transfer the result, including the total number of accredited voters and the results of the ballot, in a manner as prescribed by the Commission. Earlier, the upper chamber rejected a proposed 10-year jail term for buyers and sellers of permanent voters card (PVCs) under Clause 22, opting instead to retain a 2-year imprisonment term while increasing the fine from 2 million naira to 5 million naira. The decision was taken during the consideration of Clause 22 of the Electoral Amendment Bill. Meanwhile, the Labour Party LP Turaki-led People's Democratic Party PDP, former Deputy National Chairman of the PDP, Chief Olabode George, and founder of the All Progressive Grand Alliance (APGA), Chief Okore, criticized the Senate for rejecting electronic transmission of results. The Labour Party says it's a betrayal of Nigerians, while lawmakers are toying with Nigeria's stability. That's coming from Okore, while PDP says Senate decision shameful, harmful to democratic consolidation. But the judge says a Senate rejection an abomination, and it's shocking. Now, of course, there's more to that, and more details of of how people reacted to this rejection of this part of the bill is also on our website. Now, let's move away from that and talk about the Kwara killings. Over 100 people were found dead on Tuesday night following a deadly attack on Woro and Nuku communities in the Kahima local government area of Kwara State by Islamic militants, while several people were also killed after bandits pounced on Abande community in Turan Kwande local government of Benue State. Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak, however, confirmed the death of 75 persons. The governor disclosed the figure on Wednesday night after addressing residents at the palace of the Emir of Kahima, explaining that the victims were local Muslims massacred for refusing to surrender to extremists preaching a strange doctrine. Now, Lakurawa, an armed group linked to the Islamic State province, is believed to have carried out the attack. The latest development has further put the federal government's security campaign over public scrutiny. The lawmakers representing the area in the House of Representatives also confirmed the attack on Wednesday night. However, Bao said he was not sure of the fatality figures, citing the conflicting report from the affected communities. Now, sources within the communities told reporters that the death toll might be higher than officially acknowledged, with about 40 persons reportedly buried in a mass grave at Woro community on Wednesday afternoon. Residents also said the attackers had earlier moved around border villages in neighboring Niger State, preaching that locals should abandon Nigeria's constitution and embrace Islamic law. And of course, there's more to that story. And that's all we have on the front pages of the daily list this morning. Do want to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also visit our website, www.vanguardngr.com. Have a lovely Thursday.